Hello, everyone, and it's another week of FPL action. We're on the back of a very high scoring game week. Annie's moved back up to the top 5K in the world. Well done, Annie. I've got a small green arrow next to my name as well, making my way up the spots. In today's episode, we're going to cover some of the most important questions like replacement for Ziyech, your captaincy picks, differentials, Son and Kane double ups, Liverpool different defensive assets now with Trent Alexander-Arnold coming back as well, Robertson keeping clean sheets, and a whole lot more. We're going to reveal both teams today, so let's just get into it right at the start.
Right, Kaun, we'll start off with your team. Just want to tell everybody again that we'll just take you through what our teams might look like, what you're thinking about, and then we'll go into our usual discussion about position-wise, what players are best to have in your team if you don't have them. If you're looking to make key positional changes in certain areas of your team, if the other areas are fine, right? So we'll do all of that once our team reveal is done. Kaun, before we start off with your team again, just want to remind everybody who's watching to subscribe to our channel, hit like on our video if you do like it, hit us up in the comments with your team if you need help. Like you see the past videos, people have asked us for help and we've been happy to engage in conversation with them. And also hit us up on Instagram and Twitter. So let's start off with your team, Kaun.
Yep, there we have it. That's my team for the week. I actually knew back in as the last weekend started what my changes were going to be. And I'm going to address sort of a bigger dilemma right now, right? Do you go for team value, make the changes early, or do you wait till the end? I've obviously had that dilemma, but I've gone with knowing the players you want to bring in. So the changes I'm going to make this week was going to be Ziyech out, Calvert-Lewin out, Wilson in for Calvert-Lewin, and then Son in for Ziyech, right? But the question here is, does Wilson play or not? So if I make those changes, I'm taking a -4 for that. It all goes to waste if he isn't, right? So team value versus news. Currently, news is important, more important, I would say, given the COVID situation, last second players not being able to play, injuries with midweek. Currently, I just say focus on that. But yeah, that's my team. That's the changes that I would make, if any, for this week.
Yeah, Kaun, before I go into my team, for all the new viewers who are tuning in, thank you so much for the people who are coming back as well. Kaun, if you could outline your strategy in terms of, we discussed a power pack midfield in our last episode, okay? Instead of focusing on your forward line, Vardy and Kane are delivering, getting just about in, while you have the likes of Calvert-Lewin consistently getting you those 6 to 8 points, which chugs along. Bamford getting chances, good budget option, Wilson, good budget option. But the midfield has again picked up very strongly this year. And it's like De Bruyne, Salah, Bruno is like a must-have for everyone, right? But it's almost impossible to have those premium midfielders, in your side, all of them, right? And we're not even talking about Aubameyang, who's been absolutely average this season, or else you'd have a bigger headache on a bigger headache as it is. So, we spoke about Ziyech last week in creation. You can see Kern's power pack midfield, right? If you don't still have a midfield which is strong enough, and you're considering if you should, go for a Harry Kane still, or if you consider getting in Vardy, I think, Kern, your strategy is not to do that because you gave away Harry Kane to get in Bamford, so you could make space for De Bruyne, correct?
Yeah. So that's the thing now, and I would ideally not go with Son still because it's not like the fixtures have eased up, but they have sort of got the points where I think Kane is a better option than Son. It's just that Son is much cheaper, and right now if I want this midfield, I can't afford Kane. Son, I think, is the first player to hit 100 points this season, so speaks for himself. The only reason I'm going Son is that his ownership is so high right now. Not having him when he gets those explosive returns is absolutely it's calamitous for your team, right? So I'm getting Son in not because I think he's going to give me crazy returns, but I'm getting him to sort of just mitigate losses, right? Calvert-Lewin, I'm sacrificing, who might seem, it might seem paradoxical because he has a higher ownership than Son. It's just that Son's returns are a lot more explosive. You said Calvert-Lewin just gets at 6 to 8 every now and then. But Son, the week he gets say 8, 15, 16, whatever. And he's generally, when he gets those, he gets bonus points as well. You just sort of lose a lot of ground on that. Plus, he's a captaincy option, right? So when you're losing out on Son, you're not just losing out on his points, you're losing out on double of his points when he's captaincy options, like possibly this week. So just wanted to sort of clear that up. Why I'm going Son back on him. It's not that I think he's a must have in terms of explosive returns over the next 3 weeks, because they do have Liverpool still coming. It's because everyone else has him, and it's just loss aversion more than okay, I need his points.
Okay, fair enough. Before I give my take on that and continue on this, I'll now add my team into the mix. Right, Kern? So this is now, if you saw Kern's team and look at my team, you can tell there's a stark difference in the fact that I have Son and Kane. I have gone with that combination since the first game week because I believe that the way they would be starting off this year, looking at the way Mourinho was drilling something into the squad, I believe that having both of them was essential because the only way one would do well is with the other doing well as well. And that's what luckily has happened. It has worked out that way. Everyone's saying they're performing above their XG and the XA, but this is one of those seasons to begin with. Look, it wasn't going to be easy. It was going to be different. And I was leaning towards what Kern said when I was making my very first draft team, right? I did want to go for a 5 midfield, looking at, if you look at all our earlier episodes from our draft team, game week 1, game week 2. But something about having Kane and Son just struck well with me from the very start, and I've continued with it. In the last couple of weeks, Kern knows I've mulled over removing Kane, getting more balance in my midfield, because I wanted Salah, De Bruyne, Son, and Bruno. And that's not possible if you also have a power pack striker like of Kane ahead. I think the max you can have is Danny Ings. We'll talk more about that later. But coming to my team, for this week, this is not the ideal formation. I always play a 3-4-3 as far as possible. I will be removing Ziyech. I will be going for Jota most likely. An outside chance is I'll be considering getting in Grealish for Ziyech and completely leaving out Liverpool assets for this week. If I do go with the Jota move, I might double down, take a -4 and take out De Bruyne for Salah and get De Bruyne back in for next week. Yes, a -4 for switching players in and out is not very recommended. But looking at the way the season has gone, I just think why not, right? If we are saying that the best is going to happen, Salah just should be captain blindly against Fulham. So, you do worry about the minutes that Salah has played midweek, right? But Klopp has come out and said that because of COVID and the medical team has said that he needs to kind of play more or play out full 90 minutes, So maybe that's the reason why they want him at full match sharpness or peak. Or if Louis van Gaal is famously quoted, match rhythm is what he maybe needs, which is why he was played the whole game. So maybe I wouldn't worry too much about it. But now looking at, again, this midfield, right? I will most likely end up with Jota, Fernandes, Salah, Son, Kane, Bamford, Lewin. And if I take a -4, it could be Salah and for De Bruyne. So I'm satisfied with that team. In terms of defense, yes, Kilman has not been starting. It's a bit of a worry. I have Chilwell and Justin, though I'll leave them in my team for this week. Taylor against Arsenal, maybe not expecting much, but that's fine. I'll take a hit in defense for 1 week. Because I feel I have enough in the attacking threat. The other reason why I wanted to get maybe rid of De Bruyne, if I could remove Fernandes for this week and get in Salah instead of him, I would have done that. But for me to get in Salah for this week with that -4, I can't take out anybody else but Harry Kane then. And just they're playing. So every time I think of taking out Kane, something comes up. And I'm playing Palace and I'm like, really, you're taking them away? Palace could do trouble them as well. It's not that Palace haven't caused them troubles before, but so that's where I stand. And looking at this team, I've been just going on for 2 minutes now. Kern, please come in. Yeah, they got Steve in the end.
Yeah, Annie is clearly feeling very passionate about his team this week with the proper monologue on what he's doing. But yeah, makes complete sense, Annie. That's going to be interesting. Look at the double down, as you said, right? The double up with Jota plus Salah, very much on the cards versus Fulham. Liverpool have looked strong. They walked past Leicester and Wolves with ease. Like with ease. I don't even think they had to switch it up a gear. They went past them with ease. Doing that against Fulham doubling up on them just seems like an easy option. And yes, with not the easiest fixtures for Fernandes and De Bruyne, maybe that 1 week switch, just the switch for that 1 week makes sense.
Yeah, so Kern, let's now get into our position-wise talk like we always do involving fixtures, right? So I'll be moving out our team for now. Okay, so now let's get back into our position-wise breakup, looking at the fixtures that are coming up this week, right? So let's look at West Ham Leeds first, Kern. Bamford has a price rise overnight, 6.2. No, but Cresswell, Kufal, they have been doing well. You had especially highlighted Kufal a couple of weeks back, and he has delivered at 4.5 at that time, and now he's at 4.6. You know, up not just this week, upcoming they're playing Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Brighton, Southampton, Everton. Decent fixtures. So for this week, I would still leave in my Leeds and West Ham defensive assets. And if your team is tight elsewhere, would you consider getting in Dallas Ayling? Or would you consider getting in Cresswell Kufal? Fully knowing well that Bielsa has basically gone out and given his lineup very easily to the FPL managers this week.
If we're looking at just this fixture, I would look at Dallas. He's been in my team. Dallas Ayling, great option. They attack a lot. I like that. But for me, if you're bringing in any players this week, I think, between the two teams, I think these defenders can easily just be left in because they're around the 4.5 to 5 value. I don't think too much chopping is needed there. What I will say is if you have to bring in any defender this week, it has to be a Southampton defender. If you don't have Kyle Walker-Peters, if you don't have McCarthy, this is the week to sort of capitalize on them because they're playing Sheffield, who are still not scoring that freely. This is the week to get them. Newcastle might be another shout with them playing West Brom. But Southampton have the defenders that you can bring in and then keep on, right? So I'm thinking if any defensive changes need to be made this week, Kyle Walker-Peters, a great shout. I think he got an assist last game as well. So that's going to be my standout fixture for clean sheets this week.
Fair enough. So I was considering, earlier, if Ziyech was fit, I was thinking maybe take him out, maybe not. But if we're looking at defensively, Southampton for me, yes, we're looking at this week only. But the fact that then they play Arsenal, Arsenal and United, not United. They're playing Arsenal and Man City. The mixed bag after that is what's got me worried, right? So for me, when I looked at a defender I should have this week, I was looking at maybe either Lamptey or I was looking at focusing back onto your Aston Villa assets, right? Because Aston Villa still have a decent amount of fixtures this week, and in the week after they play Burnley, West Brom. Wolves, with the lack of Jimenez, just Podence and Neto is what they're relying on, right? And you said Neto is doing well, but more likely to maybe keep a clean sheet still, right? So you could look at your likes of Mings if you don't have them at 5.3, Konsa 4.7. Good players to consider for me for this week over the likes of Southampton. But I do have McCarthy in my team as well, so I'll be keeping him because goalkeeping switch is something I don't want to really think about this week. And apart from these players, if you're looking to replace maybe Chilwell, downgrading a Chilwell, let's move on to a Chelsea assets, right? If you want to make room for midfielders and you want to take a -4 there, is it wise to go from Chilwell 6.2 to Zuma's now 5.7 or James at 5.3 to make that room to accommodate midfielders or strikers?
I'm still thinking that over the course of the season, Chilwell will get you more points than those players. Now the question here comes in, which is the big defensive question for this week. Trent Alexander-Arnold was back, right? And Robertson has been getting those clean sheets. Liverpool are basically a lot more tight at the back again. So do you now make way for your Chilwells and co to get in the likes of Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, who were must-haves last season, right? Especially Trent, who came on and gave a brilliant cross, almost got an assist within his first few touches of being on the field, right? I think, yes, Chilwell to a Reece James in that sense to free up the funds might make sense. I'm going to stick with Chilwell. And why I think that Trent and Robertson still aren't must-haves currently is just because of the ownership numbers. It's the same thing with the Son conundrum that I had earlier, right? Like when they're at that high ownership, not having them will really dent you. But right now, it's not that case. Right now, while they still might be getting the points here and there, their price is still super high, where you can get more premium midfielders who, if you don't own, will hurt you. So I think it's a lot of also taking into account where you are and how you want to invest. So if you just want to cash in on people who will get you points and you're chasing the pack, then yes, you definitely get these people in who others don't have yet and you make the gap up. But at this point, I think if you're somewhere I am, middle of the pack, don't want to lose ground but also want to make ground, you need to have a balance of some of these players, which is where Chilwell I'm still holding on to. But if you want to have Kane, in the front and your midfielders, then you might have to move down to the likes of Reece James or Zuma,
Right, Karan, before
which are
we
not
wrap
which are
up,
not the worst options, honestly.
they are not. And before I wrap up the defensive discussion, that was my strategy from game week 1. You and I started off different strategies, right? You said you're going to keep in Trent because obviously he was high scoring with defender. Him and Robertson have been great for 2 years. And I said, this year I'm going to go for 5 and below. My most expensive defender was Says. Luckily, that strategy has paid dividends so far and looks like it might just work out for me for the short run still, right? Till we hit game week 16, 17. Also to point out that to back up Kern's claim, Liverpool are playing Fulham. They are playing Tottenham, but then Palace, West Brom, Newcastle, Southampton, Burnley. Good run of fixtures, 100%. But like with the likes of Trent coming back from an injury, will he play out a full 90 minutes? Festive fixture coming in. Rotation will be possible to give him freshness, right? Robertson needs a break as well. Give it another. I know Fulham is so tempting, Kern, you're right. But maybe hold up for one more week before you make those drastic changes and look at the cheaper options who are starting, who will get you those goals, who will get you those points, as well as make your team stronger overall by giving you those million to add to your defensive and forward lines, to your midfielder and forward lines. I think that's a good take or a wrap on our defensive assets. I think if I had to look into our midfield immediately, gone, the most obvious one is going back to the Liverpool discussion and just adding more meat to it, right? Because we discuss right now, look at their fixtures. It's Fulham, Tottenham, Palace, West Brom, Newcastle, Southampton. So if you're not considering getting Salah back in right now because your midfield look like what my midfield look like, and you're content, you will get the points from Kane and everywhere else, you have to probably consider rotating him back in the week from now, right? Or you think you can just about get away without him if you have the other power pack, if you have KDB, Son plus Bruno plus Kane or something like that.
See, as I said last week, Salah is a must-have. Where the good option with Liverpool, maybe after a couple of weeks, is seeing how Jota works out. But we already saw last week that he's a rotation risk. And in weeks like this one, where Salah is a captaincy option, where he can easily just get crazy amount of returns, I think it's very risky not to have him in your team. So Salah is a must-have for me. It will be interesting to see what happens this weekend. Does he get rested? Does he not? But after this, there's no Champions League for a few months, right? So that is out of the equation again. So I think it's safe to sort of get in Salah and hold on to him. And I think Jota could easily then start leading the line for Liverpool in the cup games. Right? He can easily be that player. So that is a time where hopefully managers see Salah getting the rest. We've seen in the past that Klopp is happy to let go of cup games. He's happy to concentrate just on Champions League and Premier League and just put his hands up for the cup games and not show up himself. Forget players.
To be fair, it's worked out for them.
It's worked out for them. I'm saying, but in an FPL point of view, it's great.
I don't think Klopp. I think Klopp's reaching the Pep level of not giving a shit anymore of FPL. He's like,
we'll find out.
I think they've developed a personal hate towards FPL. But Kern, fair enough. If I had to also look at it, that's why I'm considering a -4 easily over a KDB who could deliver against a United who are looking a bit down after getting knocked out of the Champions League. So it is a risk for me as well, but I'm considering that risk very seriously. And like I said, their fixtures are just irresistible, right? Tottenham might be a tough one because knowing Mourinho, if he's sensing a threat, he'll be expert at just shutting shop, parking the bus, whatever you want to call it. But then Crystal Palace, West Brom, Newcastle, Southampton, Burnley.
Kevin De Bruyne has West Brom at home next week. So you can also just do like the 1 week in and out. Bring Salah in this week, then put De Bruyne this week, and then figure out if Jota is starting, then you bring Jota in for the week after that for your Liverpool fixtures and keep De Bruyne out. So I think that you need, but you do need to chase these big hauls when possible. This week the double down is on for Jota plus Salah, right? It is on for that big haul. Next week you have to have De Bruyne in your team for big haul, and then after that you figure life out. That's what at least I'm coming from, especially in a season where you don't know what's happening.
Okay, so we've discussed this again. So now moving on to Ziyech and Len. Ziyech out, replacements. We spoke about Grealish, right? I don't have Grealish. Grealish had 7.7. Rumors about breaking the lockdown and stuff like that. But Dean Smith didn't really give anything conclusive in terms of they're going to be benched or anything. So I'm expecting him to start. 39.5% owned. And we spoke about the fixtures in length last week. Wolves away, Burnley home, West Brom away, Palace. The fixtures are there before they turn to Chelsea, United, Tottenham. So if you have Salah, would you consider then doubling up on Jota, or you look at then Jack Grealish again?
If you don't have Grealish in your team, I'm not going to necessarily bring him in this week versus a Jota, because I said the double up is on depending on what your long-term strategy is. I have Grealish in my team. I'm going to keep him. I'm not going to remove him. But I can see that switch for a Grealish to Jota very easily, or picking Jota over Grealish for this week. But keep in mind that it's a 1 week change, right? So you have to plan it out accordingly what your team composition is. If we're thinking just this week, then Jota over Grealish easily.
Okay.
We also have the Zaha conundrum, obviously, between this, but because they're playing Spurs, we're not taking his name this week. We just want to put it out there. Like, we will address him maybe next week onwards, but for now, obviously, with Spurs in the form they are defensively, at least Zaha is not in our radar for this week.
Also, he has a mixed bag of fixtures. Yeah, Zaha, Palace have Tottenham, West Ham, Liverpool, Villa, Leicester, Sheffield, Arsenal, City. So it's a topsy-turvy way they're going. I have been wrong about Zaha this season. He has got returns more than I expected it to. But you've not really missed out if you've not had him. There are a lot of midfielders at that price bracket or others who've showed up, right? Yeah. So I think let's discuss him or leave him for next week, like Karan, you rightly said. Yeah. Now, if we had to discuss City and United, we've obviously both to death about Bruno and KDB. You know, and I'm putting the visuals up right now, right? If you recommend not having, we've discussed the swaps, obviously, okay? Yeah. KDB, though, next week has West Brom. By next week, I mean they play Wednesday. For everyone watching in, the next transfer deadline is Tuesday, 10 p.m. IST, that is, if I'm not mistaken. There are games essentially coming up on Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek. So not much turnaround time. Now that West Brom home game is coming up, if he plays a full 90 against United, will he play the full 90 against West Brom? They're playing Southampton on that Saturday. They have Newcastle, Everton. So good fixtures, but Pep Ole is again the concern there. So there's no resting easy there. Well, compared to Bruno, the only solace is, and you can take it from here, is that without him, the side doesn't seem to tick. When Ole tried resting him last game against West Ham, he had to bring him on. What would you do if you had to keep one of them in the topsy-turvy fixture?
See, I don't think De Bruyne gets rested between those two games. He didn't play this week, right? And at the level of these players that they can easily play, 3 and 7. It's just that it becomes a problem when it starts piling on. So for the next two games, I think De Bruyne is there because City themselves can't afford to drop points. Like United, City don't seem to tick without De Bruyne. He's very essential for them.
Yeah.
So I think De Bruyne starts. He might get hooked off on the 60-minute mark. That is a scare. And I mean, I'm saying this, but with Pep Ole, you never know what happens. But for all intents and purposes, I think De Bruyne starts the next two games. Both are must-haves, right? De Bruyne, Bruno, Salah. As I said,
Salah, Son, Grealish, Zaha, everyone is a must-have.
Yeah, but which is why I'm saying, right? So if you want to make those switches, this week you bring in Salah for De Bruyne, while De Bruyne while City has United away, and then you switch him out for Salah next week while Liverpool plays Spurs, and then you have a couple of days to figure out your life after that.
Now that you mentioned Spurs, we can give a closing or parting comment to Spurs, right? Before we go there, if you are trying to take not necessarily a punt sort of, but if you feel you want to strengthen your midfield and you want to take in Salah and KDB and Jota and Grealish and you want to save in money there, Rashford is 6% own, 9.4 around the Son mark, right? So you can consider him if you want to. But now moving on to Spurs. Son, Kane, do we take them out or we don't? Because then we link it into moving ahead into our forward line. I want to take them out, Karan. I haven't because it comes to me to a point as to why am I doing it. They're beating the prediction every week. Even when they blanked against Chelsea, they showed up in form the last game, right? So do you say that If you have them, keep them. But if you don't have them, don't look at either of them and look at Rashford instead. Look at Bruno, Salah, KDB, Mahrez, Sterling even.
No, if you have them, keep them for sure because there's no reason to remove them. As you said, they're giving the returns right now. If you have them, keep them. If you don't, I've already touched the points. I'm not going to go too long into it. It depends on your squad composition completely. One of them you should have because you don't want to be chasing the pack because both have high ownership. For me, that pick is Son because of price.
Yeah, Kurt. So then let's quickly move on to our forward lineup. And Kane has got covered in this along with Son. Yeah. If you have him, keep him. Palace should be a good run for him. Yes, they do play Thursday night football. Interesting to see what happens there because they do want to finish top of the group there. But I do expect Kane to maybe to mostly get a rest, right?
Yeah.
Now, what do you do, Kern, when you come to the likes of making that room for that midfield if you don't have it to plan for the next 2-3 game weeks, right? Do you degrade Kane to Vardy? Let's move on to Vardy. Vardy has decent fixtures coming up. Or do you completely take a different approach like you have and you go down to 6.5 Bamford or Wilson 6.6, Calvert-Lewin 7.7, or you go down even one notch, right? Calvert-Lewin to Wilson, Bamford in your side and take a Kane down to maybe an Ings.
Yeah, there's definitely on loading up on your midfield and doing, going there. So there's two ways to look at this. One is you have Kane and you're looking for a second striker. That second striker can easily be Bamford, Calvert-Lewin because of his high ownership already getting that. So Kane, Calvert-Lewin, Bamford. And for the next 2 weeks, depending on what Newcastle team uses, Callum Wilson. You also have the hat thrown in with Ings coming back and Southampton having a great fixture this week. So there's the option of Ings and Che Adams as well. Those are my forward picks, depending on if you have Kane or not. I've personally gone just two forwards. So going 3-5-2, Brewster is just there to, save me money.
But you have decent bench strength. I don't have that, as you can see. So in a COVID season with injuries, muscle injuries coming up, you might just need that player to come and give you those 1-2 points. It is crucial in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Which is where, having three mid-price forwards is not a bad idea at all, right? So the only thing is with the likes of Bamford and Wilson and even Calvert-Lewin now, the fixture run is very mixed up. I can't point any one of them and say, hey, this one's going to give me guaranteed returns. Southampton as well, right? I mean, Ings is back on the goal scoring sheet again. Would be a great pick, but Sheffield this week, great. After that, Arsenal away, City at home, not that great, and then Fulham away, again a great one. So it's not very straightforward. I'd say who you have, hold on to, and make the changes only basis what you need to support your midfield and your main striker with. Which is why I'm looking at a Wilson coming in to support getting in Son in midfield. So this one is a little here and there, no standout picks at least for me.
One thing I'd like to add, and I'll put my focus on Calvert-Lewin. One of the highest owned players, I think, about 60% ownership. Plays Chelsea, Leicester, Arsenal in the next 3 games. He has scored, even though Digne has not been there, even with the likes of Coleman missing. But Chelsea is a tough unit. Leicester, a defense he could pick apart, maybe Arsenal as well. There is a case that he is, let's say, if you had him in your team from the start, he's about 7.7, 7.8 in your team. You downgrade him to a Callum Wilson if he is available, that is. If you don't have a Wilson or maybe even Watkins, right? Watkins is going to start the way it's going. And you take that 1.2, 1.4, and if you have a balanced midfield with no Ziyech problem, Grealish in there, you can easily upgrade maybe Bruno to Salah, have KDB, Salah, Son. You can add that value there. So, a lot of options are available to you if you downgrade DCL. But DCL has got in that solitary goal in those games as well. And he's made to make managers rue selling him, right? So that's where I'm confused as well. As an outside pick, I think I will keep him for this week and stick to the changes I've told you. But if I do have an outside random thought, that's some wild thought that's something I could look at and go for.
Yeah, I agree, man. DCL, I'm still confused as well. Is it that Wilson's fixture looks so good on paper But yeah, Newcastle apparently, might miss out on 12 players this week. Is Wilson one of them? We don't know yet. And who are the others, right? It's not just about Wilson. Is he going to be getting the supply? How will Newcastle play this game? A lot of questions there. So, it's very tricky. Uh, no clear answers, unfortunately, in the forward line. But DCL, one to hold on to just because of his high ownership. If you let go of him, one, everyone else is going to score. And two, when you want to bring him back, you probably brought him in at a lower price point and you're going to lose
He's at
out on a
8
lot of
now.
team.
Yeah, he's at 8 now. Yeah.
So you're losing out on team value there as well. So
All
overall,
right.
hold on if you can.
All right. So that wraps up our team structure position wise. Now let's look at differentials. I'll start off with mine. Jared Bowen is my differential for this week. They are playing Leeds United. Bowen did well against Manchester United as well last week. 6.3, owned by 2.7%. He does have that spark, right? And Leeds, with the way they attack, although Antonio might be missing for them in this game as well, I do feel Bowen can play an important part in this game. I was going to look at Danny Ings, but he is owned by more than 6% managers now, so maybe he's just outside that bracket. But Ings is one to keep an eye out as well if you want to punt it this week.
Yeah, I think the flavor of our differential this week is budget midfielder. If you do have Kane in your team, basically, Jared Bowen, great pick. And I'm going to go with Neto. I'd given him a shout out last week as well. Like Bowen, passing the eye test, doing well. Bowen flourishing in the absence of Antonio. Neto potentially flourishing in the absence of Jimenez, right? So that's my differential pick. 5% ownership exact, so it just makes the differential cut. That's my differential pick.
Okay, moving on to captains. I don't think we have to discuss this too thoroughly. Mo Salah is the obvious by default pick, playing Fulham that he is. The conundrum, brain will he start, will he not start? He should ideally start. But if I had to consider a second captaincy option only because I've had Kane and Son in my team for so long, I would look at Harry Kane as a captain option for me or Son. I think both have an equal shout out because they play Palace.
Yeah, same. Salah first choice, Son second choice, and if you want to go full differential, go on tilt Callum Wilson. I don't know. There's something appealing about the Newcastle fixture versus West Brom. Also, Callum Wilson is joint top for chances created at home with Bamford. So the numbers are there for him. He has been scoring. Fixture is there for him, so might be a good shout.
Kurt, we've kind of wrapped up the discussion completely. But, I had Kida, like you say. Would you consider Bamford to be a differential captain this week against West Ham?
No, just not reliable for me. He gets the chances. Sometimes he converts, sometimes he doesn't. He can get the returns. I'm not saying he can't, but he's never been he got the return against Chelsea, but he didn't against the other. I just can't rely on him. Which game is he going to get those points? He could get it this week, but because of the other options like your Jota, Salah, Son,
Grealish is a good differential option. Grealish will probably come in after all the drama this week and just belt in a goal or two and assist, right?
And they've had rest, right? They've had rest. They've not played. It's not like their players tested positive, right? So it's not like they were sick. They've had rest, so they are fresh. So I just think there's a lot more better options. Yes, Bamford can get the returns. I'm not saying he can't, but if I'm thinking about it and if I'm putting my thought into it, even if he gets returns and I don't captain him, I'm not going to rue it because logically there's better options available.
Okay, fair enough. I think we've had a longish enough episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of the Football Pundits Fantasy Premier League edition. Do not forget to hit subscribe on our channel, hit like on our video, hit us up in comments, like I said earlier, on Instagram and Twitter as well. Even our personal handles you can reach out to us on, and we'll happy to get back to you on that. And we hope, just like last week, most of you have a great FPL week. We hope we do too. And we'll be coming back to you next week with a very, very fresh episode, sooner rather than later, because the deadline, like I said, is Tuesday night. So that's a quick turnaround. We are going to try to join you live on YouTube for a deadline transfer episode. We're not sure if we can do that yet, but we'll try our best, or else we'll have an episode out for you for sure. Either way. So keep an eye out on Twitter for updates. And thank you so much again for joining us. Cheers.
Best of luck.